What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. But before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic, and I can't stress that enough, and the player ratings and potentials of the players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed those of you out there who may be new to the game and just need a little bit of advice, or for those of you out there who just want a few recommendations of what players you could sign for a team that you may be using in career mode this year. So yes, in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, this is one of the most exciting teams I was looking forward to using. Now, of course, I think this is a team that many of you guys will be using when the January transfer window opens in a month's time, because they are one of the most interesting teams in English football right now. It's the Magpies, Newcastle United from St James's Park, of course, after the sacking of Steve Bruce. Eddie Howe, the former Bournemouth manager, has taken over at St James's Park, and as we know, after the takeover went through, Newcastle United right now in the relegation zone in the Premier League have been told that they will have a big budget to work with in the January window, and I think Eddie Howe's going to need it if he's going to get the Magpies out of the relegation zone. So I started off with a financial takeover. In FIFA career mode now, you can set how much money you want the board to give you. Now Newcastle originally would start off with a budget of around £28 million, but I decided to give them a £50 million cash injection to take it up to around £78 million. Now there's very many different contrasting opinions on what people believe the Magpies will have to work with in January, but I don't think it's going to be astronomical. I don't think in Eddie Howe's first ever transfer window, with the club in a really precarious position, they'll have like £250 million to spend. Obviously you can go up to £1 billion in career mode at the start of the save for the financial takeover, but I want to try and keep it relatively realistic in the amount they'll be given, and I think again around £50 million to £75 million. We'll work with £78 million altogether in this summer window. I think that's probably about realistic. So yeah, personally, if you're wondering what my advice would be for what amount of money to get them at the start of the season, I would say an extra £50 million to go along with what you've currently got, which again is around 28 mil, to take it up to around £78 million in total. So I could not wait for this. Now, as we know, the Magpies for many years have been in a really obscure position. No one's really known what the future has looked like for Newcastle United. Over the past decade, they've had relegations, then instant promotions back to the top flight, but really, they've never been what you call stable in the Premier League. Their future has always been uncertain. It's a really strange mix of players. The squad is an interesting one. As I often say, a club really needs an identity and a core, and with Newcastle United, it's hard to really see that at St James's Park. So for me, in the first summer window, it's all about clearing out the deadwood here. You know, selling lots of players that are in their late 20s or possibly early 30s that, to be honest, they're on wages they don't really justify. You might start off with a budget of close to £80 million after the financial takeover, but you want to clear out a lot of the players that are on high contracts that, simply put, do not justify it. We put several names on the shortlist after extending a couple of the contracts, one for Wiggett, the young centre-half, and also one for Longstaff as well. The Longstaff brothers have got some decent potential in the game. But we started the sale process straight away. Javier Manquillo went to Lyon. As you can see, we have bids here for Matt Ritchie, one for Dwight Gale from KAA Ghent, and also one for Paul Dummett from Nice in France as well. And all of these guys right here, you know, in terms of their quality and in terms of their overall, you're looking at like low 70s, low to mid 70s. It's not terrible. It's not awful, don't get me wrong. They're not well out of their depth in the Premier League. With the Magpies, it's an RTG, and you want to take them to new heights as the years go by. These sort of players, you know, Dwight Gale, 30 years old, 72 overall, they're just not part of your long-term vision. So whilst you won't get much money for them, you won't get much money raised for these sales here. Matt Ritchie, for example, going to Levante for 2.7 mil. Kraft goes to Celta Vigo for 4 mil. Paul Dummett also got sold to Nice for 3 million as well. They're really small transfer fees, so you're not really raising much cash, but the key is that you're getting their salaries off the books. They're on wages which, quite frankly, they don't justify for their age and also their low overall ability as well. The most important thing is not the money you get for them, but the money you save by not paying their weekly wages. Jacob Jacob Murphy, again 26 years old, 72 overall on 21 grand a week. Ryan Fraser, decent player, don't get me wrong, 74 overall and only 27, but again 28 grand a week. Jeff Hendrick had a bid here from PSV for 2.65 mil, 29 years old, 73 overall, 27 grand a week. It's just quite frankly not worth it. So whilst you won't get much money for these players, just selling them for any fee you can get, getting their salaries off the books is the most important thing. So yeah, there were tons of sales in the first summer window of the Magpies. We sold Fabian Schär to the Turkish side here, Trabzonspor, and of course in the first season with the Magpies, you saw the objectives. They're relatively lenient, you know, finished in mid-table and also reached the last 16 of the FA Cup. Both of those things are definitely doable, and with the Newcastle United team you're going to be building, you don't need to qualify for the Champions League in Season 1. No one expects that. No one expects in the first season, with so much turnaround needed, that you're going to finish in the top 4. All you need to do in the first season is lay down the groundwork, sell to Deadwood, get rid of those guys on the high contracts who don't justify, and look to bring in those younger replacements. So after the sales there, Schär to Trabzonspor, Jeff Hendrick going to PSV Eindhoven as well, and also some bids coming in late on as well. I tried to sell this guy, Mohamed Sangare, accepted multiple bids for him, unfortunately, just would not leave. We had 2 more bids, one for Kieran Clark from Mallorca for just shy of £4 million, and also Trabzonspor wanted another one of our centre-halves, Federico Fernandez, 32 years old, 75 overall. Again, whilst I could negotiate and get an extra $500,000, extra million, it simply wasn't worth it. I didn't want to rock the boat. Most important thing was getting their salaries off the book. So Clark goes to Mallorca for just shy of $4 million, and Federico Fernandez for $3.5 million. So after all of those sales there, 11 players leaving, plus the minor season ticket money as well, we raised our budget from around 78 million to around 110 to 115, and let the rebuild process begin with Newcastle United. I could not wait for this. Buckle up, because this is crazy. So we started off with Ben Godfrey, the former Canary, moving on to Everton under Rafa Benitez. Godfrey is a great young English centre-half in the game. You are going to need new centre-backs here at Newcastle after you've sold Schär and Dummett and Kieran Clark and Fernandez as well. You're going to need new centre-halves. Ben Godfrey is my number 1 target. He's awesome on the game. Starts off 77 overall. He could play all across your back line. Very versatile, very useful. Decent on the ball, medium-high work rates, relatively quick for a centre-half with 90 sprint speed and 72 acceleration as well. He looks like a really solid centre-half right away, but he's also got 85 potential as well. So gross 8 ratings. He'll be a starting centre-half for all the years you're the Magpies. Ben Godfrey, my number 1 target. Obviously, if you're playing 5 at the back, then you're going to need someone to partner him. You've got the Jamal Lascelles, who of course is the captain, so he'll be staying as part of your back 5. But the other guy you'll want as part of your back 3, many names on the list, but I really recommend this guy. It's Goncalo Inacio of Sporting Lisbon. Like Ben Godfrey, starts with 77 overall. You can get him on a relatively cheap deal for something like £22 million, but this guy is class, man. He grows 10 ratings to 87 at his peak, and he's only 19 years old as well. 6'1", relatively comfortable on the ball, really good base defensive stats as well. I'll give him the stopper development plan right from the get-go. That will train up his defensive stats, also his jumping, which to be fair is quite low at just 70, but it'll also give him the high defensive work rate as well. Being a left footer as part of the back 5 as well, being able to pass out of the back as your LCB, if you will, really, really crucial. And again, definitely someone I recommend to sign alongside Ben Godfrey as part of your new look back 5. So in terms of new fullbacks, we obviously sold Manquillo, we sold Kraft. We needed a new right back here with Newcastle United, and I definitely would recommend this guy. The former Chelsea Academy graduate, moving on to Brighton Hove Albion to play under Graham Potter. You can get him for around £8 to £9 million, which is an absolute bargain. 20 grand a week means he's on a lower wage than the right backs we sold earlier, and again on a 5-year deal. He's just 20 years old. He's an exciting prospect and already 74 overall. Lamptey's main concern is his physicality. He's quite small at 5'4", and he's got 33 strength, which is, let's be honest here, very, very poor. And in a physically demanding league like the Premier League, you'll want to get that up. Personally, I give him the defensive wing-back development plan. That way you'll get his defensive work rate up from medium to high. That'll improve the stamina, but also the low strength as well. Lamptey is a great signing, and again, with 84 potential as well, he'll be a starting right wing-back for all the years you're at St James's Park. So moving forward, as we continue to assemble a new core here with Newcastle United, it's nice to get a British feel as well for the club identity. Curtis Jones is a player that I definitely would recommend for the new CM role here with the Magpies. He's a class young midfielder, absolute bags of talent at Anfield, everyone knows that. And whilst I don't think Jurgen Klopp would part with him so easily in real life as he would in the game, you can get him for a really cheap deal. He's only 20 years old, he's got high medium work rates, he's got 4-star, he's got great stamina to begin with as well, and I think he's a box-to-box midfielder running for days in this team. As the long-term successor for John Joe Shelby as part of your midfield trio, definitely recommend Curtis Jones. Really awesome signing, and with 86 potential, grows really nicely as well. In terms of new left-backs here with Newcastle United, obviously you've got Jamal Lewis, don't get me wrong, the former Canary, he's decent on his day, but you might want someone a little bit younger and a little bit better. Alex Centelles of Almeria is my number one target. He's only 21 years old, but already 75 overall, which means he'll go right into your first 11, and he's got the exciting prospect tag with 85 potential. 3-star, bags of energy, 87 stamina, and when going forward, I think this guy looks really threatening. I'd say personally he's better as a left wing back than an actual left back, so if you want to train him there and change him from LB to LWB, you can do that straight away. It'll only take you 2 weeks, or you can put him on a development plan. It's totally up to you what you want to do there with Centelles' natural position and role. However, again, he'll start ahead of Jamal Lewis. He is 2 ratings higher, and again, he's slightly younger, I believe, as well. Going forward, looks like a real threat. If you can help his defensive stats improve a little bit too, and possibly give him the LWB position change as well, that would be really beneficial. So, speaking of former Canaries, I definitely recommend this guy as well for the backup right-back role with Newcastle United. Selling all the right-backs we had here, we signed Tariq Lamptey. We need another one to play understudy. How about Max Aarons from Norwich City? You know, major interest from bigger clubs. You can get him for around £12.5 million in the summer window. He starts off a rating higher than Tariq Lamptey at 75 overall, though he is a year older. To me, it's really your choice. You'd rather start a right back. Lamptey has 84 potential, Aarons has 83, so it's about the same. And again, they're about the same age. Aarons is a year younger, but he's also a rating higher as well. So really, it's your choice who you want to start there. But to have Aarons and Lamptey as your right back duo as the years go by, you know, both challenging each other for the starting right back role, you've got 2 great young English talents there in their early 20s for all the years you're at St James's Park. So moving forward, we signed yet another new centre-half after we cleared out practically every centre-back apart from Jamal Lascelles in the summer. I signed a new third choice one for the bench. It's Dennis Popov. This guy's a really good young talent as well. You know, very physically strong, great defensive stats to begin with as well. He's got some decent height to him too, and it won't cost you much money. He's got 84 potential, so as a bench centre-half, he won't start in the first season as Godfrey and of course Inacio will be your starting centre-halves alongside the captain Jamal Lascelles, but as the future goes on, Popov can take Jamal's position and go right into your back 5. And the final signing, or the final signings I was looking for here, I was kind of gutted about this. I really wanted to sign a big name as my final signing for the window. Renato Sanchez of Lille would have been absolutely perfect for this Newcastle United team. We arranged a £29.5 million deal with the French side, but unfortunately I just couldn't afford his weekly wage. I think I was like £5,000 off to get Renato Sanchez. It was absolute heartbreak, man. What a sign this would have been. I love Sanchez. Absolutely brilliant, brilliant player on his day. Very strange career path, but it took him a long time to get that French Ligue 1 with Lille. But to be fair to the guy, that's a sort of sign of tenacity, if you will, for the career path he's had, and still to be such a young man as well. He's done really well to pick up a major on there with Lille. But I definitely recommend Renato Sanchez. Unfortunately, I just couldn't afford the contract, so I had to look elsewhere. But there's plenty of time you could sign instead. In the end, I opted for Shaparenko. I got Popov from Ukraine, so I thought, why not bring in a fellow Ukrainian? Shaparenko, he's only 22 years old, but 76 overall. Not quite the Renato Sanchez I was looking for, but very decent player. And again, get the stamina trained up. I think that would be really useful. I think personally speaking, with the range of stats he's got, he'd be better playing in Almiron's role as a central attacking midfielder. But really, it's up to you who you want to start there. Almiron, Jones, who you've just signed, or of course Shaparenko coming in. He's got 84 potential though, so whilst he's no Renato Sanchez, he's definitely a great player for the future. And the final signing I made with the little bit of money I had remaining was this guy right here from Bologna. It's Aaron Hickey. Let's take him back to Britain. He's a really great versatile fullback. He's got a 5-star weak foot, so whilst he is a right-footed player, he can play both left back and right back. And again, high work rates, already some decent base stamina on the 19-year-old. It's your choice what you want to do with Aaron Hickey tricky here. You can train into a wing back, either a left wing back or a right wing back. You can train into right back naturally. You can flip those two positions around. You can keep him as he is right now with the 5-star weak foot and just put him on a development plan. Really, the choice is yours. But again, a really cheap deal, a grade there for the player with 84 potential. So my goodness, what a window with Newcastle United. Absolute clear out. 11 players sold for £37.5 million. But again, transfer fees weren't important. It was just getting their salaries off the books. But in terms of signings, 9 players coming in for £116.5 million. A net loss of 79 mil, but believe me, this club now has a bit of a British core added to it with the signs we made in the summer, adding to the players here already, but also a much younger team, a much more exciting team with players with much better potential. So as per usual, we'd simulate the end of the season, see how the Magpies would get on, and as you can see, well, I'll be totally honest here. I was a little bit worried coming towards the end of the season because we lost a lot of games in Season 1. But we did avoid the drop. My manager rating dropped to 67. And as the simulation was going on, there was a period in mid-season where I was like, I think we've won like 1 game in like the past 9 or 10. It's pretty worrying, but we finished 11 points clear of the Bees in the end in 16th place. Only 9 wins in 38 with the worst defensive record in the division, conceding 79 goals. No one shipped more than us. But we did avoid the bottom 3. Thank goodness for that. Really, really, really tough season for Newcastle United. But the most important thing was just making sure we did avoid relegation. Now, as we know, the board wanted mid-table, but this is a long-term project with Newcastle United. If you were to say to them, come the end of the season, you'll finish in 16th place, I think they would definitely take it. Now, the Red Devils won the Carabao Cup in the very first season. As for the FA Cup, this is quite interesting, though. We're asked to reach the last 16. We went all the way to Wembley. We went all the way to Wembley. Newcastle United reaching the semi-finals of the FA Cup. We had a good run to get there as well, to be fair. Taking out Premier League sides in every single round, including Chelsea, only to lose to the eventual winners, Liverpool. But even so, a semi-final place for Newcastle in the FA Cup. That was pretty impressive. 1 round away from reaching our first cup final in God knows how long. Even so, a semi-final FA Cup place and 16th place in the table. It's hardly what you call a remarkable season with the Magpies. But you've got to remember, this is a long-term project. Despite the takeover, despite the money they'll be having to work with, no one is expecting Eddie Howe to qualify for the Champions League with Newcastle United come the end of next season. It's going to take a long time for them to form their identity, build that core, develop as a team, and then start to really kick on and become a major player in the Premier League. Can it happen? Yeah, but it's going to take quite a while, no doubt about it. So in the first season with the Magpies, I'll run you through the team. You see the progression of all of our new signings and how they did in the first season here. I would say to you that, when you look at the objectives there, finishing mid-table, reach the last 16 in the FA Cup, both of those definitely achievable in Season 1, absolutely no doubt. My only thing I would say is that you just got to make sure you avoid a drop. If you lay down the groundwork in Season 1, ship on that deadwood, start assembling the core, bringing in those younger replacements, believe me, that's all you need to do in Season 1. Keep your heads above water and you can try and build much more stability at Newcastle, something they've been lacking for a very long time, and form a new identity as well. Such a fun team though. I couldn't recommend them more for a career mode. I think many of you will be doing them in January and I don't blame you at all. Great team to use, such a fun long-term project. I definitely recommend Newcastle United this year. Thank you for watching though, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode of Who to Sign For. If you had, then please drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day and I'll see you for the next episode of WTSF very soon.